hitting all that. So, right. So, last week's live covered that trade there, that there. Obviously, it went quite far in the end, possibly 40, yeah, just shy of 40. That would, yeah, just 40. So, well, let's start off with why would we mark that as a point of interest? So, if we Barry play from the point that it breaks the line, just about there. So, obviously, downwards trend. Obviously, we discussed that last week. Don't really need to know much more about it. But once it's broken, we would anticipate it's going to go away, come back, and then tap into something before it continues its bearish structure, basic structure rule. So why would we mark this zone here? So obviously there's a decent chunk of imbalance in here that's visible. We're on the 15 at the minute. There's a decent chunk of imbalance here. You could mark it big. You could drop down to the 5 minute market tighter if you really wanted to. I think we did discuss that there was possibly a trade from if you marked it on the five, a lower zone or higher, one of the two. There's possible two anyway if you make the zone bigger and smaller. And obviously, so there's imbalance. Sorry, just go back on the five so you can see some decent push away. I don't believe there's much more visible lower. Yeah, so there's no, obviously this is a point where it breaks it here. So anything after that, ignore this little bit here. There's no real imbalance up to that. That wick there fills that one there. This imbalance here, so that's not live. Then we start getting some from here. So this is the lowest, not high time frame because we're not on a high time frame, but it's the first decent substantial on a meaningful time frame, let's say. Um, so obviously you could mark that one. You could mark higher, which doesn't really seem to be too much up apart from way up here, there, and then obviously there's this bit here that about fills that, but could still come that high anyway. There's no reason why it couldn't. So what I used to do is obviously I used to ask myself why here, why this zone here? What's special about this one, and as opposed to say this one up here, we'll mark that one as well because you could say that one there, turn it orange. Mm, it would be marked orange for me. So what's the difference between that one and that one? Now, ideally, obviously, it would come higher because the higher in the bearish structure, the safer the order block sort of becomes if you get your entries from higher up rather than quite low down. This is quite low down. It's obviously the last majorly produced one before it actually breaks the 15-minute low that we've got marked. So why that one? So we can obviously see that we marked last week that it took liquidity to the upside, clear liquidity as well. It's quite obvious that one. And then obviously it leads to a break in the downside on the relevant time frame or whatever the structure is up there, creates a low, puts in the high, puts in a low. On the this will be like a 1 minute, I guess. And then it leads to the 15 being broken. Does the one above it do it? Possibly not. If we're looking at the same sort of structure, because this is such a big push, this would be the low. It takes a long time to break it, and you could argue that some up here does that anyway, but maybe doesn't take any liquidity. Now, I don't know if there'll be any trend line in here. It's messy. I would say that just because it's so tight and messy, but it's not as clean as this one here. See if we can make something fit. Obviously, this could be live at a later date if it does possibly look like there, yeah. Maybe. Mm, time of they at 5, 3, 9:20. Possibly that one. That one middle touch is short. I'd be definitely on the iffy side of that, I think. That one's a bit better though. Still short just. So we'll say it takes liquidity. I believe one of them. I think they're about close enough. So they both take liquidity. They both break structure. No, sorry. No, the structure lows down here. Doesn't really break the structure. It does here, but you could argue, I suppose, if that's the low there, something in here, possibly something in this sort of causes it, and then that mitigates it anyway. So it doesn't directly come from the break structure from that up there, what we're looking for. So the lower one looks far better, far cleaner. Um, I'm just looking at the time of this because this might have been news as well. I wanted to check that it's authentically made because I believe that's important. I'm not a big fan of news candles being mitigated. I feel they fail too often. So, and also what I'd like to check is obviously it takes the low, takes liquidity upside. Ideally, this would take liquidity on the underside as well, which would be an extra confirmation. So I'll have a quick look and see if we can see anything. Obviously, if there's any questions, please just jump in as well. I don't think it's quite level enough for my liking. No, you don't think? Yeah, not quite. Mm. I don't think. No, no, doesn't take liquidity to the downside, other than obviously the 15-minute low. The one above it doesn't seem to take anything, what I can tell. So look, let's be fair as we can. Oh, Blundell's joining. He's gonna be absolutely bored by this live.
Here he is.
Here he is, the main man.
Oi,
Party,
oi.
party can start now.
Seriously, Trend Nines.
Well, I'm actually just
Mate,
trying to mark some, mate, to be
Oh
fair.
yeah,
we're
get on.
Yeah.
marking up support and resistance, buddy.
Nice.
Don't set me off, Matt. I said I won't get shouty.
No, no, no. He's in a good mood. Don't upset him.
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah, I
nice to
mean,
go and learn some structure.
well, it's a terrible night for you, mate, because I'm covering an old train, mate. So,
It's all right.
so yeah. So I can't see that this one takes any liquidity to downside. Of like I say, this is one of these is possibly that one definitely is. So unclean liquidity, unsure if it leads to breaker structure or if it does, it takes ages. Definitely clean liquidity, definitely breaks the low, and pretty much is the only imbalance before it takes a higher time frame low to the left that we marked up. So this one's appears to be better than the one above, so probably that is why that one there. So I can't, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's that. I don't think I'd go higher. Obviously, I think this is an existing trade. So from these two zones, like it's a good, that's a good little place to start. Why there instead of there? This one's much cleaner, nicer. And all you had to do anyways in a live situation is draw a box around it. And obviously we're just waiting for favour confirmations once it hits anyway. So you can mark as many boxes as you like. It just means if you're just going to obviously mark them willy-nilly, you're
what does she want? I'm busy.
just going to mute your metal set. I'm assuming that's not for us.
Right.
No, why in the thing? Um, yeah, so obviously if you mark loads of boxes and obviously set alerts on them, obviously your phone might be beeping all the time and things like that, which I used to do. I don't do it so much now, but obviously I spend a little bit of time trying to think about the reasons why I'd mark a point of interest as well. And obviously that's all a point of interest is just something with a couple of confirmations that you go, if it hits there and gives favour confirmations, then you look to take the trade. So obviously I've got in here some imbalance lines as well. So when we as you'll see, I was just sorry, just go back uh, come on, load up. Don't go slow. Don't go
I'll
full
come back
car.
when you're doing a market structure one.
Yeah, it's fine, mate. Yeah.
Let me know on the Discord and yeah, we need to do a market structure
Still,
one.
still relevant, buddy. We need
I
you.
know, I know, I know. I don't want to confuse everything.
That's fine, mate.
You know what
I'll
it's like. Oh, I'm a bit of a magpie. we we don't want Stevie B magpie syndrome.
You're all good, mate. Where's my things gone? Oh, fuck off. This one here. Here we go. Select bar. We are smooth today. Right. So, obviously, in our point of interest, we obviously I've got this imbalance here, Matt. I'm thinking maybe a BPR to be fair. So, obviously, another question we can ask is when it hits the point of interest that we've just gone over, why why would it react from a certain place in a certain point of interest? So it's nice and simple, this one. It's just imbalance. It's just obviously that's the same for the entries and things like that. But so what I started doing for my high time frames, so my 4 hours and my 15-minute zones, I when I was doing my 4:15 I was marking uh I was just trying to obviously mark stuff up and spend time on charts, I guess. But I started to mark the obviously lower time frame, like 10-second imbalances in these zones to try and predict roughly where I think um the market should sort of hit and then turn around from to then obviously give favour confirmations. So obviously the idea is that obviously well I believe imbalance is majorly important. So if I mark a 15-minute point of interest like we have done here, or five if we reduced it down next last week, I can't remember now, but we can we can start marking some imbalances in here to give us go, well, I think if it comes into this zone and it is going to react, it's probably going to do it from somewhere from one of these imbalances. So yeah, but basically that's what this is. I think it fills that and it comes just above here. I think it taps into this imbalance here, just above this yellow box. I can't remember why I'm at that zone, but So, but again, it's just another why. Why would it come to the point of interest and then tap into where it did, and then I don't know why I marked that one. Who knows? Might have even been an accident, to be fair. Um, but anyway, as you can see, there's a sort of decent push away from down here. Balance fill. And then we've got a bit of BPR going on across here, imbalance fill there. Obviously, something happens in this, we get something going on around there. So that's just a short little segment of why would it react from, say, there in a point of interest. Not majorly important to obviously mark this stage, like do this part, like mark your imbalances in your point of interest. It's just something that I started doing to just try and shore up the strategy, I guess, is more because obviously if prices come and tagged. I mean, if they are at key points where we get their balances we want filling before we get a reversal, it would reduce if say price tagged into this level here. Let's say price tagged into that, and then give as a reversal signal, sell signal. You can almost look at that and go, well, I don't think that's sort of come for what it's come for because this is it's like a nothing zone. There's no imbalance. It's just not of any importance to what I would teach you. So, and if you give a sell signal from there, but you had these things going on above it, you would maybe be inclined to go, I'll hold off on this one. I don't think it's good enough. It's just an extra layer of protection, I guess. But it's up to you guys whether you want to do that. But as I say, that's a good question to ask why there. And that one was it's just imbalance. So I just see just shy of that one. It might need marking different, but it's definitely filled the lower one of the two and probably the higher one. So like I say, if it had this week could have come a bit higher in some, it can keep you out of a bad trade possibly. So that's why that would react, say, from that part of the point of interest. Um, and the entries is going to be about similar, but but we can. Now I've not done this. I've not checked anything, so I don't actually know. But so as we can see there, I'm just going to go on to the 5. So I marked all these zones last week on the live. Could have been any one of them. I didn't delete any. I didn't say any of my favorite. I just went through the chart, marked up what I thought one of them was likely to be the entry, and away we went. And then obviously I just that was the live. So what we could do from here, obviously the question for why there, what we can ask is why this entry zone here and not say this one up here, this one there, or any of them. So obviously this is our 1 minute low that I marked, and obviously this is a high. So what we can do from there is I'm just going to drop to the 1 because it's quite tight. There's maybe reasons why we can start to think of why would it want to come back for this one to mitigate and not these. So obviously the reason I marked them all is for imbalance. So they're all imbalances that are marked on the 10-second, I believe. So let's go on. One of the reasons we can mark up to say why there is obviously that's a really good looking one. So there's going to be some that are better looking than others, like for obviously size wise, sharpness of push away and things like that. Where's the measuring tool? So that's just over a pip push away on that zone. This you could say obviously this one looks okay, this one looks good, but both of these return and get half filled. That one half fills that one. This week here half fills that one. Now I didn't test for that, these half filled, because I don't think it's a big enough indicator of them failing. But it's not something I've majorly tested. So, but it's this is obviously the whole point of this live is to sort of like come away with, or at least discuss ideas, I guess, that when it comes to say, just obviously because we're focusing on entries right now, we could just go, well, just go for the biggest. Obviously, you could go away mark. If you went away and marked 20 trades that are valid setups, and then you'd got all 20 entries, and obviously looked at all the imbalances you marked and the actual entry zones that got tagged, the actual entry zone, you could then obviously make some data on, was it the lowest one, the one that's closest and caused the 1 minute break that you was looking for? Is it the best looking one? So obviously that's a decent push away. I can't remember if there's any more. We'll check. Obviously they're okay, but half mitigated, but still decent. That one looked messy. Decent push away. Um, no decent up push though. Yeah. Real nice sort of push away, but the initial push away is not great. So this candle here is fairly. So I suppose this push away is a mega push away, but this is over 30, 40 odd seconds altogether. We're looking for something short and sharp. Not the best push away either. And then that's the high, obviously. So there's there's something for you all to be able to maybe take away from that is obviously you can get the biggest push aways of the initial push away. Like I say, that one's small, that one's fairly small. Okay. Messy. Okay. Okay. Mm, well, relatively similar. But you could then obviously take away, if you, obviously, like I say, if you take screenshots of all of them, you can go, that one's got an okay sort of push up, bit messy in between, and then decent push down. And you can start eliminating, or at least keeping tabs on what the actual winners are doing. So this one's unmitigated until it's fully mitigated, and that's the entry. These two, obviously, here, half mitigated by each other pretty much. This one's messy. I'll just avoid that one. The pushaway is really shit. There's wicks and overlays there in a way. Um, this one here, not really, not really mitigated by much. Decent push away. Probably actually the best looking zone out of all of them. The only issue is that it's mid range of the whole leg on the 1 minute structure leg. And this one's okay, good push away. No decent up push though to make me think it's a great zone. Except this one again, and obviously pretty much mitigated anyway. So terrible zone. This one here is still of interest, maybe. Obviously, price could come back in a few days or whatever and mitigate one of these if that's what it actually wants to do. Um, I'm not saying it can't happen if it all could, but like I say, if I was to put my money on myself, probably that one would have been my entry, and obviously maybe this lowest one. They're my two favourites, I guess, and everything else in between is, yeah, maybe if buts and maybe. So but anyway, they're just imbalances. So what obviously to add on to why that one is, sorry, just a brief summary. Obviously, there's some will look best. Obviously, some will be the biggest pushes and imbalances. Some will be higher up that you'd prefer. Some will be closest to the actual break line that you're doing. And what George likes to do is he likes to find one that takes liquidity. So I'll have a quick look to see if we can see anything that would indicate whether this is the best one, and if there's say this one up here, which I think I've just spotted. So that looks like a decent trend line. This might still be live. This one here takes liquidity. Obviously, it's high up as well. So if this one is going to hold, then this might be this will be the last point before it takes the high. If it takes this, I believe it'll take the high. Um, so that's a good it's a good zone. There's no denying that. That's a good zone. Um, does this one here cause liquidity to be taken? Let me just play a couple of candles. Yeah, it's mitigated there. So, um, we have that. No, obviously it's wicked through there. Does it go further? No, still through. No, obviously this isn't guaranteed to find liquidity, but no. Let's see, I'm gonna find it. Find out. Not there anyway. Right, let's tack down there. Could have done with George on here, couldn't we? No, can't find anything. Nothing that stands out anyway. And if it doesn't stand out, it's probably not there anyway. So doesn't take liquidity. Um, so the good thing about that one, I suppose, is it's the closest to the break line that we're after, and it's one of the better looking pushes away. Um, I generally prefer him, I guess, is to be. I'm not bothered where it is, but I mean, obviously, as we marked all these through, so one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, marked seven in total.
There's a trend line on that middle one, Lee. The first one above the blue one. First one above the blue one.
Oh, that one there.
Look to the left there, you've got a
Oh,
trend
yeah,
line
down there.
there.
Yeah,
That low going up to the left. That works.
yeah,
No, yeah,
yes,
that one there. Yeah,
yes, yeah, nice. Yeah, good. Like it.
perfect. Not perfect, but it's perfect.
Well, I think it's good enough, mate. I don't. If I'm going to check out the 10-second light, but yeah, a little bit off on that, but we're
Let me just look in the
Yeah, I think I'd accept that in the 1 minute, mate. Definitely. Yeah. But yeah,
Not as big a drop as the one above though, is it?
no, 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 no. I think from when I was doing the 4:15 stuff anyway, mate, um so obviously I'm claiming that this is the entry. It's a bit of a difficult one anyway because it fills its own imbalance. Obviously, creates the order block, fills it, creates the imbalance, takes the low, and it mitigates it in like a minute. Joe, it's instant. So you'd have been hard pressed to have actually caught it anyway. Obviously, it does come back and touch into it later on, but if it's already filled at that point, you would be. I mean, I don't think I would have put it back on, so I wouldn't expect anyone else to. I can't present that as a valid entry when it comes back and say, oh, it's looking for imbalance, and then when it just fills something that's already been filled, it doesn't work. So yeah, there is. I mean, like I say, there is a possibility that it's coming back for something. I mean, it might come back for something that we haven't marked up as well, but when I was doing the 4:15 what I used to find is after this 1 minute break, you'd get an initial pullback before it cleared off to do its thing, and then if it took a further major low, then it often come back to fill something a bit higher. And what I found was that the the ones down here would obviously be the first initial pullback that you could catch a decent trade from, and then when it did come back, then generally it'd be up here. Now, that's not to say that these middle ones aren't good because I would say there was the middle zones was no good only if they had like some high, some middle, some low. Sometimes it's clear as day. You only get a couple of zones, so there's no, but they could be in the middle and they're the right entries. If you've got a lot middle, higher or lower, generally where I'd stick my money.
How how bad do I have to be if you say for you to say there's nothing there, walk away?
How bad was, sorry?
How bad do I have to be for you to say there's nothing there, walk away?
How bad would it?
Yeah,
How bad
what I
would all
mean
this
is,
have to be?
how, yeah, I mean, how do we avoid a loser here by when we should just say there's no good imbalance in there?
Yeah, so
Does that happen a lot?
uh, I think so. Yeah, I couldn't pull you up any examples though. Um, yeah, I couldn't pull you up any examples, but yes, there is trades where I go. I don't like the look of any of that. I'm just leaving it. And some of them will be. I mean, there's been occasions, obviously, when I look at them and go, I can't really see out, and then afterwards it gets obviously after it's played out, you look at it and go, well, there's a fucking tiny little candle with imbalance there. Sometimes it's the only imbalance you could see that you would have been able to see if I'd have paid more attention, I guess. But
Yeah,
so yeah, sometimes it's just if there was nothing much better than say this zone here, then I'd walk away, and it does happen.
yeah.
But yeah, it's
We
a
could have spent a lot
personal
of time
call that.
looking at zone. Yeah, we could force
Yeah,
it, then we should walk away because we tend to get something
yeah,
to say.
yeah. Yeah, that'll be the thing, mate. Like say if you're forcing it, it's just you're just overexerting your risk. You know, there's nothing wrong with, and everyone gets excited by trying to catch trades, especially like these trades as well. So learning learning to be able to go, "Oh, I don't like any of that is it's probably a superpower more than anything
Yeah,
because obviously you could easily take couple of losses on any trade, and obviously it could just fail anyway. But yeah, there will be ones that where you just go, yeah, none of that's good enough. I'm not taking it. But you could also, if you don't see anything, so I think I covered it last week or the week before. So obviously, I always say get down to like the 10, 15 ish to look for your imbalances for your entries. obviously if nothing's clear, if you're absolutely adamant and you're really happy with the rest of your setup, you just can't find that one pinpoint zone. Obviously, I always say go back up the time frames. So on here, obviously, if you're marking this on the 5 minute for an entry, if it comes back and then sells off again, then obviously on the 5 minute you'd probably sell from way up here, and
Yeah.
then obviously I don't know what the 1 minute's like. Obviously you'd mark the 1 minute first, and pick a couple of zones. Again, you'd be up here again on the 1 minute, I guess. Could this push away here? Nothing else looks really any good on the one. Maybe that, but this one's way better. And obviously, this zone here it takes liquidity. So does that one, but this one takes this initial first candle push low, sub 1 minute structure. But there'll be obviously it pulls back, does the high. So yeah, you can sort of add other little shitty structure confirmations, I guess, is probably best. But yeah, if you see nothing, mate, if it all looks shit, you can go back up. But, we're here to try and win, aren't we? So I would leave it, I think, but you'd be well within your rights to go. I like that on the 5 minute. That could be your entry if you really wanted to get
Yeah.
in. But I don't push that, mate. So I wouldn't do it myself. That's the reason. Because obviously, once you start making big zones, I think, especially because obviously I'm making obviously decent returns from my money. I don't. If that would have been an actual trade and it had gone
Yeah.
for obviously I wasn't.
What I'm saying is, it's just trying to think about, first of all, avoiding losses, and
Yeah,
secondly, not spending a lot of time on an area that probably isn't going to give something. Because
yeah, yeah,
when you don't know, it's harder to move away. Because you don't know if you miss something or if it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
not suitable. So yeah, there's no golden rule. I'm just thinking about it. That's all.
yeah. So I mean, all's tonight's sessions is about, mate, is trying to improve on and find reasons for certain things, and then obviously
Yeah,
there's the other
cool.
side of that. Is there other things to go a walk away? Obviously, I'll maybe add that into another session, I guess.
Yeah,
But
cool.
it's all. I mean, it's all fairly straightforward. So all's I've covered tonight is gone why there. Obviously it's a bit of imbalance. Why there? Or there's a bit of liquidity there that it's taken. Why there? Do you know? Is obviously we say that the market's only ever doing one of three things. Sometimes it's doing both at the same time, but it's doing three things, which is it's creating liquidity. So obviously equal highs, lows, major highs and lows, trend lines taking liquidity, so obviously sweeps. If it's obviously, we all know what sweep is. I don't need to find one to be fair. And then rebalancing the market. So, and then obviously filling these imbalances here. That's rebalancing the market. And I think I added structure to it actually, so that makes it four. But it's sort of sticking to a structure as well. But obviously, we all just said it. Obviously, it's doing three things from years back. It's sort of stuck. So. But that when you start to think about the setup as a whole, and you go, well, what's it doing there? Like I say, that's when you go, why there? Like, is it taking liquidity? Is it making it, or is it rebalancing the market? It's doing one and three things. Yeah, so you can sort of add that to your. You obviously you wouldn't want to get in on it creating liquidity, I guess, because when it takes liquidity, it's going to take you out. So you want to ideally get in on the rebalancing of the market, which is obviously the imbalance fill, and the taking of it can be the taking of liquidity as well. So if there's liquidity up here for this, obviously if you'd got in on this up here, you could maybe argue that there's a trend line somewhere in all this, and it's taken liquidity and it rebalances the market at the same time. And that's what I meant when I said it's sometimes doing two at the same time. Um,
These entries
but
are rebalancing, really, aren't they? 'Cause they're all
yeah,
set getting filled. Yeah,
Yeah. So obviously I wouldn't say get in if that's created that three touch trend line here, you never should get in as it creates that liquidity. If you was watching that and you go, oh, it's just made three touch liquidity, don't get in at that point because like you know it's gonna pass beyond it. And that's why I say the only thing we know about liquidity is that price wants to pass beyond it. So never get in at that point there when you go, oh, it's made a fucking great trend line, which is support and resistance. So obviously people would argue that that three touches there is a resistance line. But we know that it's going to go past that and take everyone's money if that obviously if that's what you believe. So getting in on the creation of liquidity is a terrible idea. Obviously,
yeah,
once it breaks structure, it's back and mitigates the liquidity sweep. It also fills the imbalance at the same time. So getting in at that point is a good idea.
yep,
Yeah. So
yeah, yeah,
take
got it. Yeah,
liquidity,
yeah.
comes back, mitigates it. I mean, that's a valid trade for a lot of people anyway, like build a liquidity sweep, breaking structures downside, mitigating of imbalance. That's a good setup. Obviously, we've waited for further structures break.
Yeah, you go a step further because you want to get the really high
Yeah.
interest, don't you? Whereas
Mm.
they would be a bit more relaxed on their interest and go for
Yeah,
lower, I think.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I like to wait. Don't want to do that. Obviously, I always say to wait for a lower time frame structure break because obviously up to oh, I've done it again. What a dickhead. Obviously trending up to the if that was just your entries, so if you had it on there, obviously this is just trending upwards to that point. There's no reason why that wouldn't tag you in, could mitigate something down here, then continue up.
Yeah,
So obviously I always say to wait for a lower time frame because obviously this is a 15-minute point of interest based off the 15-minute structure. And then obviously I'm waiting for the 1 minute to tell me oh, it's actually gonna turn around and then make a new 15-minute low. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, don't get in on liquidity being created, mitigation of the sweeps, and mitigation of filling the imbalance. Like I say, it's one or both, but never the part becoming part of liquidity. I don't know any. Obviously, like I say, it is a support and resistance strategy, but you'd have to be in on an early touch or get lucky with. I mean, if you're getting on say the third touch on a trend line, you would pray to God that you would it pulls back far enough before it takes it and you get out. And if not, then you would hope that it's getting a fourth touch and then it goes off a decent amount in between that time. But to me, it's dangerous um, because of what I've seen, what I've looked at. I'm just going to get a drink, guys. Is there any questions on that so far? Talking a lot. I've talked a lot. Fucking hell, 50 odd minutes nearly.
Yeah, I'm good.
all makes sense. Thanks. Just seeing them
Well,
in
yeah.
practice.
It makes sense until I leave this live, and then
Yeah, word,
I
man.
just totally forget and start missing imbalances like I did earlier.
And yeah, tomorrow morning
Yeah.
you're sat looking at a blank chart, going, "What the hell were we talking about last
Yeah,
night?" Because
Yeah.
it's so easy. It's not easy, it's so obvious. Yeah,
no, it's
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know it's not easy. I know it's not, obviously, it took me a long time to get where I'm at now, but it does get easier. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I got to where I got and obviously created my own strategy basically from just going and asking a couple of questions why there, what's it doing. So obviously, I didn't start on I didn't start. I didn't just come on and go, fuck it, I'm taking a 10-second entry because I had no idea that it was coming to fill a 10-second imbalance for the first year and a half. I was just told, oh, that's an order block on the 15-minute or hourly or whatever it used to be. um, but then, like I've said, so I got to where I did with 4:15.1 because I was intrigued and going, And like why what obviously yeah it's tapped into say a 4 hour order block or an hour order block or 15 minute, but why is it turning from exactly there like, and then that just led me to go, well, just drop down the time frames. You go, well, you start noticing and go, fucking hell, it's filled that 1 minute imbalance. And then you see that a few times and you go, well, it's tapped into something that wasn't imbalance. I'll just look at that, and that's obviously when I come across this second stuff, and then you start going, well, that 1 minute push up and push down, so just two close-bodied candles. Like if it's tapping into that and going, like, well, technically that could be when you start thinking about how candles are formed, you can now obviously if two 1 minute candles, one up candle, one down candle, 2 minutes is quite a long time for like something to be produced, I guess, because that first initial push up could have all happened in like the last 10 seconds, and then it could have sat there for a while, and then the last 10 seconds of the second candle, all that could have happened, all the body of that could have been created in the last 10 seconds of that. So as it looks like on a fully balanced candle or just a candle body on the 1 minute time frame, like on the 10 second, it looks totally different. And that was what led me to obviously finding super tight entries, trying to pinpoint in my points of interest where things maybe should reverse from. And then obviously if after that it was just a case of just obviously writing down the process and everything like that, and then just sticking to what that should be doing and what I want to see, and then cementing on why I would mark certain areas. So obviously originally I used to just mark loads and loads and loads of zones and sort of hope something would stick, I guess, with a bit of with it. I'm talking early days, so I've marked loads of stuff, and then I'd mark all these on say like the 15. This is when I was doing like bankers, marker zone with a couple of like shitty confirmations, and then just sort of like wait for a push away, and then I started waiting for more and refining it, and all that come from obviously collecting data and screenshots and things like that. So obviously you all roughly know how the setup works. Obviously we covered it last week. So what you should be able to do is like say take screenshots of all these sort of trades and the entries and things like that and go, yeah, we know that that's filled in imbalance. Like you probably don't need to do that anymore, but you could take screenshots of these several zones and go, well, it's reacted from that one. Why that one sort of thing? And you start seeing the same thing. You start noticing that you want to sort of see a bit of a decent up push before the down one's created. You might find that say 60% of the ones that 60%, I'm obviously just chucking a number out here. I don't actually know. I ain't actually tested it. I've just took a load of screenshots. I spent a lot of time. I actually had to delete 12,000 images last year. I think it was the year before. And I've done more since. So, but yeah, to delete 12,000 images of screenshots of just zones, what had been tapped into what. So I sort of know what I'm after, but I've not actually sat down and worked out percentages on whether the lowest ones, obviously in a sell scenario, whether the lowest ones, the right ones, so many percent of the time. But you could do this if you had the time and felt the need to, especially if you're struggling. But you like say you can work out from the biggest push versus the ones that take liquidity both sides, take a internal type low sort of thing, to work out which ones you want to prefer. But obviously looking, screenshotting and all that is what will actually build your eyes and your confidence, which is why I always tell you to back test and journal. So you could have all obviously played this out in the week, marked the lows and things, drawn the structures and got to mark these zones and added it to a diary of some sort. I'm assuming no one actually did, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, I've got an alert on it when it comes back up.
Yeah.
to hit these higher zones we marked out.
Yeah, yeah,
So
no.
I'll know when it comes back.
Yeah. I'll have a look because I don't actually, looks properly where I think it's going. So, yeah, I think looking at this, I think we've got scope to come way down. Where is it? I think we've got. Obviously, I don't know if it's going to, but oh, box. There we go. I think we've got scope to come down. Maybe, maybe not quite that low. Well, we could easily come down into this as well with it. So if that is the case, so obviously we've got a big push for up here, pull back. This just about takes it, but yeah, I think we've got There's a possibility it could come down to this sort of like lower third. Um, and if it does, obviously, it might want to come back up and tag this that we spoke about to get down there. Obviously, it depends on what it does like around here and that first. So, but as but I think that was such a big push on then. I don't think a 1 minute break to the upside is going to be anytime soon. I don't think I trust that as a one. I don't. Spread out. Yeah, I don't. There's maybe a 1 minute there. Well, that would be the high again. Yeah, maybe we'll see. But I do, like I said, I do think there is a little chance that it's coming way lower from it. Now, I'm not saying obviously just stick a sell on and hopefully it comes down here. It's okay. Obviously, I can say I think it's got scope to come down, but nothing. I'm taking nothing until something presents itself to actually convince me more. So, yeah, don't just go sticking money on that. By the way, it's just I think there's a possibility because this such a big push up, push down, and this is possibly the actual 4 hour leg from there to there. So, and we've maybe got liquidity down here as well. So the push up for that little 15-minute break there. Unmitigated. Yeah, anyway, that's that anyway, guys. I'll call it there. Unless there's any questions.
I've just got one.
Yep,
Imbalance
yep,
news.
yep,
I'm I'm not telling anyone because it is a pending, so I'm going to wait.
yep.
But there was a candle. It was a JPY pair.
Hmm.
There was no news on the Forex Factory, anything like that.
Yep.
But this push is unusually fucking massive.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's at it was like 28 minutes past 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's JPY, so obviously they might be different, but there's no news on that at all. And I was just
Yeah.
wondering, could it be news and I can't find it anywhere? Or is it a highlight? Is just proper imbalance? Like,
It could be obviously it could be news. It's now it depends how big. Um
I can't remember.
yeah, it obviously can be natural. It could be like a random release or even a bombing of something, it could be.
It's got two big, same sort of size candles, big pushers
Yeah,
straight after, and it's just random time. And I thought it
yeah,
just looks too good to be true.
yeah. Well, did you say half one-ish?
Yeah, it was about half 1 in the morning. 28. It was 28 minutes back and then some seconds, but it was
Yeah, yeah.
all
Because that will
numbers were
be
different.
that would be obviously a couple of hours into the Asia session, wouldn't it? So 3 hours into the Asia session, so that would be there. That would be like there 9, half 9, half 10, wouldn't it? I'm guessing.
But I can't find like first factor I looked, and then I did actually just type it on Google and stuff to find it.
If
There's nothing,
yeah,
but I was just a bit like,
yeah, I know because I know it's not often, but stuff does sometimes get released and happen that not due to be released sort of thing. But what I'll do, mate, is if you want to message me that privately, I'll take a look and give me an opinion. But
yeah.
I've got an app on my phone called let me find it. The fuck is it? Financial Juice.
Right.
Um, search. I don't know if you can search the date or not. But yeah, that tells you stuff that's been released, and sometimes looking at what the fuck's gone on there,
Yeah.
that tells you like world news, and it only posts stuff sort of related to the world market. So it might if I'll have a look, mate, if I can find that time and date, if I can get jump
Yeah.
to it. If it's recent, ideal because I can just scroll through a little bit.
It,
But
it is recent. It's yeah. Yeah. It's,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, do it privately, mate. All right, just don't
Yeah. I just didn't
so
want to jinx myself. I keep fucking getting it wrong.
yeah,
I'm sick of it
yeah.
now.
You'll be fine, mate.
Yeah.
Right, I'll call it there, people. Have a good evening, and I'll catch you all in the chats.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you.
God.